My guest is Darren Woodson, the former Dallas Cowboys safety, Ring of Honor member, and I've got him here in the studio today to talk about a couple of things, and one of those is it seems to be award season. We'll talk about some of the awards that were just handed out last weekend in a second, but you're getting an award yourself, and it's coming up at the C5 Texas Gala, or it's not really a gala, it's actually called an urban campfire event at the end of February, and it's handed out for leadership, education, things you've done. Tell us why getting this award means something to you.
It means something because I feel like leadership comes in when you're a servant leader, and you're a selfless servant leader. And, you know, I was raised that way. My mother was instrumental in my life as far as pouring back into the community. We come from the inner city, come from the projects of Phoenix, Arizona. And I never wanted to forget where I came from and the struggles that we had. And if I could do anything, and if anything is helping as far as being a leader, helping with education, helping within the community, you know, that's my role, and I just feel like it's my time to sow back into into all these kids, and C5 Texas is the way to do so.
And so the C5 Youth Foundation of Texas is a 5-year program. It starts with kids in the 8th grade, helps them throughout their high school years. What appealed to you specifically about this particular group?
Well, the leadership in this group, whether it be the executive director, Danny Bethune, and you know, Rick Colbert, who's one of the chairmen, a good friend of mine, have this vision. They have a vision to take C5 Texas to another level and to reach as many kids as we possibly can. And that's the key for me. How many kids can we touch? How many kids can we lift up through this process? And how many kids can we help through their educational process and getting them into college and understanding that there's so much more in life than just running the streets or just going to high school. There's so much more. College is an integral part of your life, and we want to establish that in the thoughts of these young men and women.
When Darren came out of Arizona State, out of his university experience, he went into his chosen profession, and the guy that brought you into that, he had a pretty big honor this past weekend. What was your reaction to Jimmy Johnson getting into the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
Excited. I was excited for the man because, you know, listen, Jimmy did something that a lot of people have not done in the profession, of the coaching profession. He came out of college. He went through a 1-15 season. Turned the entire program away, and basically he took it away. He took the program away from a living legend and got it handed off from Coach Landry. And there was so much animosity towards that handoff. But Coach Johnson stuck to what he firmly believed in, went 1-15 the first year, and then turned things around. Went to back-to-back championships, should have went to about 3 or 4 more, but won back-to-back Super Bowls and just did it the right way. And that right way was through work ethic, having the players, including myself, believe in who he was. And, you know, for me personally, was Jimmy drafted me. So there's always going to be a direct connection to who that man is because he took a chance on me. It took a chance on a young man that was 21 years old at the time, that was playing linebacker in college, and he saw the vision of me moving to safety. So, you know, I'm indebted to who Jimmy Johnson is.
I think after that 1-15 season, you would not have gotten a number of Hall of Fame votes for him at that time. That did not seem like the path that was going to happen. Why was he able to get you guys on board and assemble all that talent so quickly? I mean, what was his secret sauce?
Drafting. The man knew how to draft. And he knew what he wanted as far as the men on that football team. Not only the men on that football team as far as the personnel, but the coaching staff as well. If you look at the coaching staff, the Dave Wannstedts, the North Turners, Butch Davis, Dave Campbell, they've all been head coaches somewhere in the league. And he knew exactly what he wanted, similar to what Bill Belichick, how he coaches the team with the Patriots. But Jimmy knew how to push the right buttons on those players that he brought in. Ton of alpha dogs, and that's what he wanted. He wanted to draft guys that were high energy, walked the edge, played hard, but he knew how to push the right buttons at the right time to get us to play for him.
A couple of other guys that were finalists for the Hall of Fame also have Cowboy ties. One was Drew Pearson, the other was Cliff Harris. One got in, the other didn't. What was your reaction?
Well, I was happy for Cliff. I thought it was long overdue for Cliff Harris. This man has been instrumental in being a safety and being a quality man on and off the field for years. And you know, Cliff Harris, Charlie Harris. I mean, those guys, I'll never forget how they played in the '70s and what kind of impact they made for those Cowboy teams. But Clip was a good man, and he's deserving for what he did on the football field, and he should have went in years ago. Drew, on the other hand, that was hurtful. It really was. That hurt to see that this man was an all-decade first-teamer in the '70s, and he's one of the only all-decade players not to be a Hall of Famer. And it to me is disrespectful for who Drew Pearson was. Drew Pearson was, I didn't like the Cowboys when I was a kid, and he was the main reason why I didn't like him, because he always made the big plays when they had to make them. But he's a man that deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, and it shouldn't be 30, 40 years later. This should have been in the '80s or '90s when he got into the Hall of Fame. So it's disappointing to see that he's not in.
Another guy that a lot of folks were disappointed wasn't a finalist for the Hall of Fame was Darren Woodson. Mm-hmm. What's your take on that process and where you feel like you are?
Well, again, we just talked about Cliff Harris and Drew Pearson and the process they've had to go through. And again, these guys should have been in the Hall of Fame years ago. I feel like I can wait my time. I'd love to be in, absolutely. Do I feel like I deserve to be in? Absolutely. But I've seen the process, and I've seen two men go through this for a lot longer than I ever thought about going through it. So I just feel like, hey, my time is going to come. I know that. Hopefully I can walk up those stairs and do it when that time comes. But, I'd love to, it'd be an honor to be in the Hall of Fame, but I know my time's coming.
Well, if you'd like to talk to Darren about this, he clearly has some pretty, thoughts put together on this. The C5 Texas Urban Campfire event is where to go. And this is going to be a pretty relaxed deal.
Absolutely. We're having bonfires. We're doing music. We're doing, food. And it's not a big gala. We're not talking about something where you have to be all dressed up. It's casual. And we want everyone to come in and see what we're doing at C5 Texas and see how we're really pushing the envelope with these young kids, men and women, and trying to get them into school and get their minds right about education.
All right, so come meet Darren. That's February 29th, Blue Fire at Toyota Music Factory. C5texas.org is where you can find out information. Darren, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, you. Appreciate it.
With Darren Woodson for the Fort Worth Weekly, I'm Rush Olson.